Hello. I know what it feels like. The chaos, that constant noise, not just outside, but also inside your head. That feeling that the world is moving at a speed you can't keep up with, and you're left behind, desperately trying to hold on to something, anything, that gives you a little stability. Maybe it's the job that overwhelms you. Maybe it's the news that fills you with anxiety. Or maybe it's just the day-to-day, the responsibilities, the expectations, that invisible pressure that tells you you have to be more, do more, have more. But I want you to know something. You're not alone in this. And more importantly, you're not helpless. Calm is not something you find outside, in a quiet place or in a perfect life. Calm is a choice, a skill you can cultivate, a muscle you can train. And the Stoic philosophy, that ancient wisdom that has stood the test of time, offers us a map to find that inner sanctuary. So, breathe with me. Inhale deeply. Feel the air fill your lungs. And exhale, releasing, for a moment, all the tension you're carrying. We are about to embark on a journey not to escape chaos, but to learn to navigate it. A journey to the stillness of your own mind. I don't promise you a magic solution, but tools, 10 techniques, 10 simple yet profound principles, so that no matter what the world throws at you, you can maintain your calm. Let's start with the first one. 1. The pause before the reaction. Chaos has a favorite trap: immediacy. That fierce impulse to respond, to react, to jump into the fight without thinking. An email that annoys you, an unexpected criticism, a news story that alarms you. And what do? We react, without thinking, without breathing, without processing. But imagine for a moment that, right at that instant, in that small space between the stimulus and your reaction, you could take a pause, a simple yet powerful breath. Think of a pond. When a stone falls, the water is stirred, the ripples spread, and the image of the sky is completely distorted. But if you wait, if you give it time, the water settles, the ripples disappear, and the reflection becomes clear again. You are the pond, chaos is the stone, and your initial reaction is the agitated water. The technique is simple, but it requires practice. When you feel anger, frustration, or anxiety take hold of you, don't act, don't reply to that message, don't say that word. Just stop, close your eyes if you need to, breathe, count to 10, or to 20, or simply observe that emotion. Don't judge it, just observe it, like a silent witness. In that moment of stillness, you realize that the urgency to react is often an illusion. The world won't end if you don't respond immediately. The words can wait, the decision can wait, and in that conscious waiting, you regain the control you thought you had lost. Stoicism teaches us that true power lies in self-discipline, not in the speed of response. The world bombards us with the need to be instantaneous, but your inner peace flourishes in the slowness of reflection. It is in the pause that you reclaim sovereignty over your own being, and in that pause, in that sacred space you give yourself the opportunity to choose. Are you going to be a slave to your impulse, or are you going to be the master of your response? The impulsive response is like a forest fire. The pause is like a drop of water. It doesn't put it out, but it gives you time to decide if you want to add more fuel, or if you prefer to let it burn out without your help. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember, calm begins with a pause, a simple and heroic pause. 2. Not everything deserves a response. We live in a world that asks us to be connected, to have an opinion on everything, to participate in every debate, to defend our position in every discussion. We have been taught that silence is a weakness, that not having a response is a failure. But let me tell you something. Most of the time, silence is the wisest response. Imagine that your energy, time, and attention are gold coins, precious and limited. Every time you enter a trivial discussion, every time you get into an online fight, every time you feel obligated to justify your life to someone who doesn't understand it, you are spending those coins. And what do you get in return? Nothing? Or, even worse, more frustration and more chaos. People often throw stones not because they want to hurt, but because they have nothing else to throw. Maybe they are hurt, maybe they are scared, and it's not your job to pick up every stone they throw at you. It is not your responsibility to respond to every provocation, to every meaningless comment. Think of a big tree. The wind blows hard, shaking its leaves and branches. The tree doesn't fight the wind. It simply stands firm, letting the wind do its thing. And when the wind dies down, the tree is still there, unshakable. You are that tree. The words, the criticisms, the opinions of others are the wind. You don't have to fight them. You don't have to respond to every one of them. You can simply stand firm in who you are, in what you believe, and let the noise pass you by. Often, the need to have the last word is nothing more than a manifestation of our ego. We believe that if we don't respond, we lose. But the truth is that by not responding to a provocation, you are not losing, you are winning. You gain time, you gain energy, you gain peace. You are rising above the conflict, showing a strength that goes far beyond words. This is the lesson of non-participation. Your peace is more valuable than any victory in a meaningless discussion. Understand that your peace of mind is a treasure, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that is worth trading for your tranquility. If a discussion is not going to lead to understanding, if a conversation is not going to generate growth, then it does not deserve your time. It does not deserve your energy. It does not deserve your response. Learn to be silent, not as a sign of defeat, but as a demonstration of your strength. The strength of someone who knows they don't have to prove anything to anyone. The strength of someone who understands that not everything deserves a response. 3. Accept what you cannot change. This is perhaps one of the most liberating principles of Stoicism, and at the same time, one of the most difficult to accept for our ego, for our mind that wants to control everything. We spend our lives fighting windmills, wanting people to be different, wanting situations to fit our desires, wanting the past to not have happened, and in that useless, exhausting struggle, we lose our peace. But there is an immutable truth in life. There are things that are within your control, and there are things that are not. Your reaction, your effort, your words, your decisions, that's in your circle of control. The rain, the traffic, your boss's opinion, the economic crisis, the decisions of other people, that's outside your circle. And calm, true calm, is found when you learn to let go of what is outside your control. Imagine you are sailing on a ship. The sea is the world. There are sunny days, with gentle winds that take you where you want to go. But there are also stormy days, with giant waves and winds that push you in directions you don't choose. You can yell at the storm, you can get angry at the waves, you can curse the wind, but it's not going to change anything. The storm will run its course. The waves will continue to crash against your ship. All you will do is exhaust your energy, fill your heart with bitterness, and perhaps, in your anger, end up shipwrecking. But if you accept that the storm is there, that the waves are part of the journey, then you can focus your energy on what you can do. Adjust your sails, secure the cargo, stay firm at the helm, focus on the present. Acceptance is the first step to action, not the last to surrender. It is a declaration that you will not waste one iota of your valuable energy on something that does not belong to you, on something you cannot mold. Accepting is not resigning yourself. Accepting is not saying I give up. Accepting is saying this is what it is now. And now, with reality as it is, what can I do? It's an act of power, because by accepting, you stop spending your energy on the impossible and invest it in the possible. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become an agent of your own life. So, the next time you find yourself fighting a situation you can't change, ask yourself this question: is this within my control? And if the answer is no, repeat softly, I accept what I cannot change. And then, turn your attention to what you can do, here and now. 4. Observe your emotions without being them. Chaos often drags us into an emotional whirlwind. We feel sad, and we are sadness. We feel anxious, and we are anxiety. We feel angry, and anger consumes us completely. We identify so much with our emotions that we lose perspective and control. But the Stoics taught us a fundamental lesson. You are not your emotions. You are the observer of your emotions. Imagine you are sitting on the bank of a river. The river is your mind, and floating on the water, passing before your eyes, are leaves. Each leaf is a thought, a sensation, an emotion. One leaf says anxiety, another says fear, another says rage. You can decide to jump into the river and cling to one of those leaves, letting yourself be carried away by the current. Or you can stay on the bank, watching the leaves float and pass by, without having to jump. The technique here is detachment. When you feel an intense emotion, instead of immersing yourself in it, pause and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What is this emotion? Name it. This is frustration. This is sadness. This is anger. By naming it, you are separating it from yourself. You are turning it into an object of observation, not your identity. It's not about repressing your emotions. That doesn't work. Emotions are like a beach ball you try to keep submerged. The pressure builds and, sooner or later, it explodes with more force. It's about recognizing them, feeling them, but without letting them take control of your ship. You are the captain. Your emotions are the crew. They can yell, they can complain, they can be afraid, but the final decision of where the ship goes will always be yours. Be the silent observer. the one who watches without judging, the one who feels without being carried away. In that observation, you will find immense peace and freedom. 5. Choose your response. Don't react impulsively. This technique is the older sibling of the first one. The pause gives us the space. Choosing our response is what we do with that space. We live on autopilot. The alarm goes off, we get up. We see a message, we respond. We get angry, we defend ourselves. We are like robots programmed to react in a certain way, and chaos is the switch that sets us in motion. But Stoicism, and the freedom they so cherished, was based on the idea that we are rational beings, that we have the power of reason to choose, to decide, to shape our own internal reality. Imagine life as a game of chess. You cannot choose your opponent's moves. Sometimes they will attack you mercilessly. Sometimes they will put you in very complicated situations, but you always have the option of how to move your pieces. The quality of your life does not depend on your opponent's moves, but on yours, on your strategy, on your patience, on your wisdom. The technique is simple. After the pause, before acting, ask yourself, what is the wisest response right now? What is the response that honors my values? What is the response that gives me the most peace in the long run? Maybe the wisest response is not to respond with anger, but with calm. Maybe it's not to defend yourself, but to be silent. Maybe it's not to lament, but to look for a solution. Every time you choose a conscious response, instead of an impulsive reaction, you are taking control of your life. You are demonstrating that you are the master of your mind, not the slave of your emotions. You are building a strong, resilient character, capable of facing any storm. Remember, freedom is not doing what you want. Freedom is the power to choose, even when you feel you don't have it. 6. Be the master of your mind, not a slave to the moment. Your mind is a garden, and like any garden, either you take care of it, or weeds will grow. If you let the chaos of the outside world sow seeds of fear, anxiety, and worry, that's what you will reap. The modern mind is a battlefield. We are bombarded with information, with alarming news, with social media that makes us feel like we are not enough, and in that constant bombardment, we lose control of our own mental space. The Stoics understood the power of attention. For them, where you put your attention, you put your energy. If you put your attention on things you cannot control, you will feel powerless. If you put it on the past, you will live in regret. If you put it on the future with fear, you will live in anxiety. The technique is to learn to direct your attention. It's like a muscle that needs to be trained. When you find yourself wandering into negative thoughts, into loops of worry, into situations that have not yet happened, stop, consciously. Bring your attention back to the present. You can do it in many ways. Feel the air entering your lungs. Feel the clothes on your skin. Listen to the sounds around you. Or simply, focus on a task. Wash the dishes. Concentrate your attention on the water, on the soap, on the movement of your hands. Read a book, and force your mind to stay on each word, on each sentence. Be the guardian of your mind. Don't let the outside world or the negative inner voices take over it. You have the power to decide what you think about. And if you can choose your thoughts, you can choose your peace. 7. Change your inner dialogue. Most of us wouldn't realize how cruel we are to ourselves. If someone recorded us, the criticisms, the judgments, the impossible expectations we place on ourselves. I'm not good enough. I failed again. I should have done better. That negative inner dialogue is the true source of most of our chaos. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoics, would say inspiring phrases to himself to start the day. He spoke of his duty, his purpose, the importance of being a virtuous person. He understood that the most important battle is fought in the mind. The technique is simple in its concept, but it requires constant discipline. Be your best friend. If a friend was feeling down, would you say you're useless? No, you would say it's okay. We all make mistakes, so why do you talk to yourself in a way you would never talk to a loved one? When you encounter a negative thought, don't accept it as truth. Question it. Is this really true? Is it fair that I talk to myself like this? And then, replace it. For example, if your mind tells you I'm going to fail this presentation, you can answer, I'm going to do my best. I don't know the outcome, but I know I'm prepared. If it tells you I'm a mess, you can tell yourself, I'm learning. Today I'm taking one more step to be better. Changing your inner dialogue is changing the narrative of your life. It's going from being the victim to being the hero of your own story. The chaos outside can continue, but if the voice inside your head is a voice of calm, support, and love, then no storm can bring you down. 8. Remember, this too shall pass. When we are in the middle of a difficult situation, the mind tends to believe it is permanent, that this pain, this sadness, this pressure is forever. and that feeling of eternity is what takes away our hope. But life is a constant cycle of change. Like the seasons, winter arrives with its cold and darkness, but always, inevitably, it gives way to spring. The Stoics practiced the premeditation of evils, not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared, to remember that good and bad things come and go. They reminded you that challenges are temporary, that pain has an end. The technique is perspective. When you are in the darkest moment, in the center of the storm, pause and repeat this phrase to yourself like a mantra: "This too shall pass." Think of the difficult moments you have already overcome. That exam you thought you wouldn't pass. That breakup that broke your heart. That job you thought would drown you. They all passed, and you survived. You became stronger. Use your own history as proof. Life is a flowing river, and there is no moment, no emotion, no situation that can stop its course. So, instead of fighting the current, let go. Trust the process. Don't cling to the pain, because it too will leave. And if you wonder when, the answer is simple: when you least expect it. 9. Find beauty in the simple. Chaos disconnects us. It leads us to a state of hyperstimulation, of constant noise, of an incessant search for something more, something better. And in that search, we forget what we have here, now, right at this instant. The Stoics found happiness in virtue, and in appreciating what life gave them. They didn't need great luxuries or great events. They found joy in the ordinary, in the sun rising in the morning, in the simple act of walking, in the bread they ate. The technique is to anchor yourself in the present, through gratitude for the small things. Chaos makes us forget that, even on the worst days, life continues to give us moments of beauty. Look around you right now. The light coming through the window, the sound of the birds outside, the cup of coffee or tea you hold in your hands, the breath that keeps you alive. Pause for a moment and make a mental list of 5 things you are grateful for right now. They don't have to be big. They can be as simple as having clean water to drink, or the comfort of your chair. When we focus on what we have, instead of what we lack, chaos loses its power. Anxiety, which is always a worry about the future, dissolves in the present. Dissatisfaction, which is the search for something more, disappears in appreciation. The beauty of life is not in the extraordinary. It is in the simplicity of a moment of peace. It is in the love you receive. It is in the simple miracle of being alive. Cultivate that perspective, and your inner world will be transformed. 10. In the silence, everything becomes clear. The last refuge against chaos, the last and most powerful technique, is silence. Not the external silence, but the internal one. We live with our minds always on. Plans, worries, to-do lists, past conversations. It is a constant noise that prevents us from hearing our own voice, our intuition, our wisdom. The Stoics valued contemplation. They would withdraw from the world for a moment to reflect, to meditate, to reconnect with their inner selves. They understood that the answers are not found in the noise, but in the stillness. The technique is the practice of silence, not as a punishment, but as a gift. Give yourself 5, 10, or 15 minutes a day to sit in silence. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just you and your breath. At first, your mind will scream. It will bring you all the worries, all the pending tasks, all the noise you've been trying to ignore. And that's okay. Just observe it. Don't fight. Don't judge yourself. Just let the thoughts pass, like clouds in the sky, and every time you get lost in them, gently, without reproach, return to your breath. In that silence, the pond of your mind calms down, the waters settle, and the reflection of reality, of the sky and of your true self, becomes clear. You will see things as they are. You will see your problems without the filter of emotion, and you will see with clarity what really matters. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of calm. It is the place where you find yourself again. It is the sanctuary that will always, always be available to you. And so, we close our journey through the 10 Stoic techniques for maintaining calm amidst chaos. I hope these words serve as a compass for you, not so that you memorize them, but so that you live them, so that you feel them. Remember that calm is not the absence of the storm, but peace in the heart of it. And that power, that strength, has always been within you. You just have to learn how to use it. Until next time.